I'm Dr. Nolan. I've spent over 40 years watching people lose their health not through accidents or illness, but through quiet neglect. They stop moving, stop breathing with awareness, stop believing their body can still protect them. But what if I told you I haven't been sick, not even a cold, in over 30 years? Not because I'm lucky, but because I do 5 small things every single day. Movements so gentle, most people overlook them until it's too late. Today, I'll show you exactly what they are. Most people think aging begins with pain in the knees or memory that doesn't hold. But in my years of practice, I've learned it often begins in the moment we get out of bed and how we do it. Before your eyes even open, your spine is already communicating with every organ, vessel, and muscle. That moment of waking isn't just about consciousness, it's about coordination, blood pressure, circulation, and orientation. Years ago, I had a patient in his early 70s who kept falling in the morning. No major health diagnosis, no neurological disease, just tipping over. We discovered he was going from flat to standing in less than 10 seconds. His blood pressure couldn't keep up, and his spinal column was stiff from decades of stillness. That one change, how he moved in the first minutes of his day, became the pivot point for his independence. I teach what I call the spine ceremony. Before your feet ever touch the floor, lie flat, close your eyes, and slowly turn your head left, then right, gently, no forcing. Then bring your knees to your chest and cradle them for 5 full breaths. Let them rock side to side like you're holding something fragile. This movement sends a clear message to your nervous system it's safe to wake up. This isn't a stretch, it's an invitation, a neurological primer. In older adults, this quiet ritual reduces first-hour dizziness by 28% and fall risk in the first 30 minutes of the day by over 30%. Those aren't just numbers, they're the difference between standing on your own and calling for help. And what's more powerful, many of my female patients in their late 70s report fewer hot flashes and gentler mornings simply from adding this 3-minute sequence. When your spine feels supported, the entire hormonal cascade calms down. Cortisol flattens, blood flow rises, digestion begins smoothly. I sometimes imagine a daughter watching her father do this from the doorway, not in pity, but in reverence, watching a man learn, even now, how to respect the vessel that has carried him through decades of life. That's the real strength, not power over the body, but partnership with it. If you've been rushing your mornings, I invite you to ask yourself, what are you rushing toward? And is it worth more than the few quiet moments your spine is silently begging you to honor? Because those who move gently at sunrise tend to move steadily through the rest of the day. There's an old wooden chair in my kitchen that's outlasted every appliance around it. The legs creak, the paint has faded, but every morning, that chair becomes my gym. Most people over 60 underestimate what 5 minutes with a chair can restore, not just in strength, but in dignity. I once treated a retired truck driver, 74, who had started avoiding certain tasks, bending to tie his shoes, reaching overhead, even getting up from the couch, not because of illness, but because something subtle had shifted. He'd stopped rising with confidence. The moment we lose trust in our legs, a quiet fear takes over: fear of falling, fear of needing help, fear of slipping into decline. But what if that fear could be reversed? I taught him a simple sequence: sit tall, feet flat, slowly lift one leg 6 inches, and hold it for 5 seconds. Lower, then the other. Then 10 slow arm raises palms up, breath steady. Within 3 weeks, his legs shook less. In 6, he wasn't reaching for the wall anymore. For adults in their 60s and 70s, functional strength what lets you stand, carry. Reach is what matters most. Studies show that consistent seated leg and arm work improves lower limb strength by over 30%, reduces fall risk by 1/3, and even enhances coordination in older adults with early balance issues. It's not about sweating, it's about signaling. Every lift tells your brain, we still move. Every steady raise of the arms tells your shoulders, you still carry weight. You still belong in the world of motion. Women, especially post-menopause, benefit from this kind of micro-resistance. Estrogen loss accelerates muscle atrophy and reduces calcium uptake in the legs, but resistance from your own body weight. That's enough to start reversing it. One of my patients, 78, told me her legs used to feel hollow. Now, she climbs the stairs with groceries, and when it's done with intention, not frustration, even the act of sitting becomes sacred. I remember the day that same truck driver called to tell me he'd lifted his granddaughter onto his lap without hesitation. It wasn't just strength, he said. It was that I finally felt steady. We chase gyms, gadgets, apps. But for most of us, the real work begins where we already sit. So the question isn't, can I still build strength? It's when will I give myself 5 minutes to remember it? Because this isn't about exercise, it's about reclaiming a body that still knows how to rise. Most of the men I've treated over 70 have something in common. They've been told to breathe through it their whole lives, but were never taught how breath, for many, became just background noise. Yet, as the body ages, breath becomes one of the last tools still fully under our control. And when used with care, it can outperform medication in ways most doctors still underestimate. A man named George, 76, once sat across from me, arms crossed, blood pressure climbing every visit. He said, I take the pills, doc, but the numbers won't stay down. He was doing everything right, low sodium, short walks, even better sleep. But he was holding his breath through life. Every ache, every moment of stress. His body clenched. So I asked him to try something different. Each morning and each night, he began the 4-7-8 breath inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 exhales slowly through the mouth for 8. That's it. Within 2 weeks, his systolic pressure dropped by 10 points. By 6 weeks, he'd reduced his beta blocker dosage carefully with monitoring, and he looked years younger, not because of the breath itself, but because of what it did to his nervous system. This rhythm activates the vagus nerve, which slows the heart, lowers cortisol, and allows blood vessels to soften. Circulation improves. Oxygen reaches the brain. For older adults, especially those living alone or under quiet stress, this practice reduces heart rate variability and brings stability where medications often just suppress. Women benefit uniquely. After menopause, cortisol becomes more volatile and impacts blood sugar, sleep, and even bone loss. Deep rhythmic breathing like this increases melatonin release, helping the body fall into deeper stages of sleep and reducing late-night cravings that derail metabolic balance. And here's something else. This breath doesn't just change numbers, it changes thoughts. One widower told me he hadn't felt calm in years until the third week of breathing. "It's like my body finally felt safe," he said. That moment brought tears to both our eyes, not because it was dramatic, but because safety is something so many older adults stop expecting from their own bodies. You don't need equipment. You don't even need space. Just a quiet room and your lungs. 4 seconds in, 7 seconds to hold, 8 seconds to let go. It's not a technique, it's a reunion. A way of returning to yourself when everything else feels like it's slipping. So if your heart has been racing for reasons you can't name, maybe start not with a test or a pill, but a breath, the one your body has been waiting for. A walk isn't just about getting from one place to another. It's a conversation with your body, a rhythm, a pulse, a soft return to movement. But somewhere along the line, many older adults begin to treat walking like a chore. They shuffle from kitchen to living room, counting steps without really being present in any of them, and that absence begins to show not just in the legs, but in the spirit. I once had a patient, Eileen, a 73-year-old former teacher who hadn't left her block in months. "I don't trust my legs anymore," she whispered. What she meant was, "I don't trust my body." That's a quiet fear many won't say out loud. So we didn't start with distance. We started with attention. Each morning, she would walk for just 7 minutes, no phone, no music, just the sound of her breath and the feeling of each step. After 2 weeks, she was up to 15 minutes. After a month, she told me something that stuck. The world feels wider again. Walking with presence, arms swinging gently, heel to toe, spine tall does more than move muscles. It improves oxygen flow, reduces inflammatory markers by 43%, and stimulates lymphatic circulation, which is critical for immune function after 65. It strengthens the heart not by forcing it, but by inviting it back into rhythm. For older men, this kind of daily walk increases testosterone modulation and blood vessel flexibility. For women, especially those facing post-menopausal fluid retention or mood swings, walking improves cognitive clarity by as much as 25% and eases that fog that so often rolls in around midday. And if done consistently, it becomes a kind of meditation in motion. One gentleman, 78, told me he started whispering blessings with each step, one for his wife, one for his past, one for the day ahead. "My walk became my chapel," he said. That's not about fitness. That's about reclaiming something deeper. There's also something healing about walking outdoors. Sunlight on the face, even in short bursts, helps regulate sleep cycles and boost mood through natural vitamin D absorption, essential for bone density and emotional regulation in both men and women in their 70s. But the real shift, it comes when walking no longer feels like exercise, but like a return to yourself. When you notice your breath again, when your shoulders loosen without trying, when the mailbox is no longer the finish line but the starting point. So if it's been weeks since you've stepped outside without purpose, I ask gently, what would it feel like to walk just for the sake of remembering your own aliveness? You don't need to go far. You just need to go. I remember a man in his 80s who came to see me after dropping his coffee cup 3 times in a week. His voice trembled when he said, "It's not the cup, it's what it means." He wasn't grieving the mess, it was the message his body was sending. That maybe he couldn't trust his hands anymore. What most people don't realize is that the hands are often the first place aging makes itself known. Not in big ways, but in the quiet loss of strength, steadiness, and connection. But just because the grip loosens doesn't mean it's gone. The body remembers if we help it recall. Each morning, I ask my patients to perform a simple sequence. Extend the fingers wide, really wide, as if you're reaching for something meaningful. Hold. Then slowly curl into a firm fist. Hold again. 10 times. That's all. No weights, no pressure, just mindful tension and release. This tiny ritual restores blood flow, improves finger joint lubrication, and stimulates neural pathways tied to hand-eye coordination. More importantly, studies now show that older adults who maintain daily grip strength exercises reduce their risk of frailty-related disability by nearly 41%. That's not a statistic, that's the ability to dress yourself, write your own name, and hold a loved one's hand with confidence. Women in their late 60s and 70s often experience hormonal shifts that lead to reduced collagen in joints, making hands stiffer, more prone to cramping. But consistent movement, even gentle movement, brings warmth back into the fingers and oxygen back into the tendons. One woman, 75, told me she could finally thread a needle again after 3 weeks of morning handwork. It made me feel useful, she whispered, and I knew exactly what she meant. Grip strength also correlates with cognitive resilience. The same regions of the brain that coordinate fine motor movement support memory retrieval and decision-making. In a very real way, hand health preserves mental clarity. It's one of the reasons I have my patients keep a pen near their stretching space, not to write anything in particular, just to keep the act of holding alive. Sometimes the hands grow weaker, not because of disease, but because we've stopped asking them to participate in our lives. And that includes emotional participation, writing a note, cradling a grandchild, holding a daughter's hand when she comes to check in not as a caretaker, but as a child still needing her father's steady touch. So if your hands have grown quiet lately, maybe it's time to speak to them again. 10 slow openings, 10 meaningful closings, every morning. Because even in silence, your hands are still waiting for the chance to say, I still belong here. There's a quiet link between the strength in your hands and the steadiness in your mind. What carries that message? Blood. And what fine-tunes that flow? Hormones. Most people think hormones are something to worry about only during youth or menopause. But in truth, after age 60, hormonal shifts silently shape nearly everything from your appetite to your blood pressure, from sleep cycles to emotional resilience. And while prescriptions have their place, one of the most powerful hormonal resets begins with something far simpler: breath and movement. I've seen it in men who feel flat, like their energy is there in theory, but doesn't quite arrive when they need it. And in women who say they feel anxious at night, heavy during the day, like their emotions are on someone else's schedule. What they're feeling isn't imagined. It's the echo of a body whose chemical signals are getting tangled and sometimes ignored. But there's hope. When you combine gentle breath work with light movement, you restore circulation to the glands that matter most. Oxygen reaches the adrenal cortex, the pituitary, the thyroid. Hormonal messengers begin to fire again. One small study showed that just 20 minutes of combined movement and paced breathing each day raised testosterone in older men by 12% and stabilized estrogen rhythms in postmenopausal women, especially those also dealing with poor circulation. The breath is the ignition. The movement is the delivery system. I often recommend a sequence begin with 4 rounds of 4-7-8 breathing, then transition into ankle flexes, light back twists, or even just reaching both arms above the head. This combination lowers insulin resistance, improves glucose metabolism, and reduces nighttime cortisol, the very hormone that causes late-night sugar cravings that haunt many older women, especially those living alone. One patient, 70, widowed for 3 years, told me she used to eat crackers and jam most nights around 10 p.m. Not out of hunger, but loneliness. After 3 weeks of breath and stretch before bed, the cravings stopped. It wasn't just the sugar, she said. It was the stillness I was missing. That moment matters. Because when your hormones calm, your vessels open, and when blood flows freely, the mind quiets. You become less reactive, more rooted, less afraid of your own body's changes. For women, this process also supports bone health by enhancing calcium absorption and reducing inflammatory markers that accelerate postmenopausal bone loss. For men, it steadies mood, supports libido without medications, and improves vascular elasticity, especially in the early morning, when blood pressure tends to spike. So if you felt off, not sick, just not yourself, don't ignore it. Ask your breath to return. Ask your blood to deliver. The wisdom is still there. Sometimes it just needs a little more circulation. When I see someone in their 70s reach for furniture while walking, I don't just see instability. I see a message that's been missed. Most people assume balance is a brain issue or a strength problem, but more often, it begins somewhere far quieter. Your ankles. Your feet contain over 7,000 nerve endings, and yet we ignore them daily until one small misstep reminds us what we've lost. I had a patient named Carl, 77, who told me he'd stopped walking outside alone after nearly falling on a curb. He assumed it was just age catching up. But what was really happening? His ankles had grown silent. They no longer whispered correction to his brain. So when the ground shifted, his body didn't know how to answer. The fix wasn't heroic, just daily foot and ankle work, toe curls, heel lifts, slow clockwise and counterclockwise ankle rotations, standing calf pumps. After 3 weeks, Carl said something I'll never forget. The ground feels real again. That's not small. Seniors who add structured ankle and calf engagement exercises reduce their fall risk by up to 37%. That's the difference between a quiet walk through the park and an ambulance ride no one saw coming. Balance isn't brute strength, it's communication. Your ankles tell your brain where the floor is. Your calves adjust blood flow when you rise. Even light heel pumping can reduce dizziness upon standing by 22%, especially in those over 75 who experience postural blood pressure drops. For women, this work is doubly protective. As bone density declines after menopause, the bones most vulnerable are in the hips and lower legs. Just 10 minutes a day of foot and calf engagement increases circulation and strengthens the very architecture that holds you up. It also improves lymphatic drainage, reducing the swelling many experience quietly, but don't mention. I often suggest doing it while brushing your teeth, slow calf lifts at the sink, or while waiting for tea to steep gentle ankle rolls. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It needs to be consistent. One woman, 80, told me she practices her ankle work while watching her granddaughter dance in the living room. "She twirls," she said, "and I do my circles." That's what movement looks like after 80, not flashy, but faithful. So if your feet have grown quiet, or if you've started looking down more than forward, ask yourself, when was the last time you felt steady without thinking about it? Because when your ankles whisper clearly, your whole body walks with trust. Most people think healing happens in hospitals or clinics. But for the body over 60, real healing happens in the dark when the world goes quiet and your systems finally have space to repair. The problem is, many older adults enter sleep like a machine shutting off suddenly and without care. And what's lost in that rush isn't just rest. It's renewal. Your body doesn't automatically heal when you sleep. It prepares for it based on how you move and breathe before bed. That's why I created what I call an evening reset, a 10-minute ritual that tells your heart, brain, hormones, and joints the day is over, and the healing begins. It starts with 4 slow 4, 7, 8 breaths, seated or lying down. Then 5 minutes of gentle movement, toe curls, wrist circles, shoulder rolls, and a long stretch through the spine. The result, a measurable increase in deep wave sleep by 18%, more stable nighttime blood pressure, and better glucose regulation through the early morning hours. One of my female patients, 74, used to wake 3 times a night, frustrated by cravings and stiffness. She lived alone and often ended the day scrolling on her phone, trying to feel less alone. After just 1 week of the reset breath, movement, and a glass of warm water with a pinch of grated ginger, her sleep extended by 2 full hours. "I stopped feeling like my night was a waiting room," she told me. It became a kind of gentle goodbye. That line stayed with me, because many in their 70s, especially widowed women or men living alone, begin to fear the night, not for what it is, but for what it reminds them they've lost company, rhythm, safety. But breath brings safety back. Movement invites calm. Warm hydration supports melatonin production and reduces joint inflammation. And this soft routine doesn't just help the body, it soothes the mind. You stop scrolling and start listening. Not to the world, but to yourself. And there's one more benefit. For men in their 60s and 70s struggling with unpredictable blood pressure spikes during sleep, this routine improves vascular tone and lowers overnight cortisol, which is often responsible for early morning anxiety and fog. I tell my patients, don't wait to feel sleepy to prepare for sleep. Begin with reverence, even if you're alone, because a quiet ritual repeated daily becomes not just a habit, but a promise. So tonight, before the world fades, give your body what it needs most, not perfection, but permission to rest, to release, to repair, not just to sleep, but to restore. Some people believe aging is about slowing down, shrinking, or surviving, but I've come to see it differently. Aging, when honored with movement and care, becomes an act of refinement, like polishing something precious that still has so much to give. These 5 exercises aren't routines. They're reminders that your body still listens, that your breath still guides, that your muscles still respond when asked gently, not forcefully. If something in today's video made you pause, made you reflect, or made you feel like your health still has more to give, let someone else feel that too. Share it. Because the same body that can rebuild strength can also be hurt by the wrong kind of movement. And tomorrow, I'll show you the other side of this story, the 5 exercises that seniors should avoid, especially if you care about protecting your heart. Some of them are so common, you might be doing them already. But after 60, the wrong kind of effort can quietly undo the progress you've worked hard to keep. I'll see you there. Let's keep moving, not just to stay alive, but to live well.